Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining today's Food Safety for Consumers from the USDA Meat and Poultry Hotline. Before we begin, please ensure you have opened the Zoom chat panel by using the associated icon located at the bottom of your screen. Please note that all audio connections are muted. To enter the question queue, you may click on the raise hand icon at the bottom of the Zoom window. If you do require technical assistance, please send a chat to all panelists. With that, I'll turn the conference over to Archie Margulis, Food Safety Specialist. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Archie Margulis. I'm a Food Safety Specialist with the USDA Meat and Poultry Hotline. Some of you may have actually heard of this hotline. Maybe you've heard of us. But we're going to go through a couple of slides and tell you a little bit about us and what we do. And that's just a little intro slide. Next slide, please. And about FSIS, that's our agency, Food Safety Inspection Service. So we're the public health agency with the USDA. Our mission is to ensure that domestic and imported meat, poultry, and egg products are safe, wholesome, and accurately labeled. Next slide, please. All right, in the inspection by numbers, we inspect, these are the numbers right here, as you can see, 166 million head of livestock, much larger with poultry, of course, 9.7 billion, and egg products, those are 2.5 billion pounds of liquid, frozen, and dried egg products. And next slide, please. Okay, our presence is as follows. We have 8,700 employees, 7,800 are frontline workforce, and 6,500 are the establishment. That's how many federally inspected, regulated establishments we have. We inspect. Thank you. And the next slide, please. All right, this is about the hotline, just a little brief index card almost. If you haven't heard of us, well, here's the little information. We can be reached here. We know I should say first we answer food safety questions. And if anybody has a question, doesn't matter who, they come from all over, consumers, lots of extensions, of course, and industry, anyone, researchers, students. Our hotline is 1-888-674-6854. Easy way to remember it, 888 or 888-MP hotline. All right, we're open live 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have English and Spanish. And then we have recorded food safety messages available 24 hours. And these are, of course, also you can go to our website, which is fsis.usda.gov. All right, if you have email, people send a lot of email questions as well, not just calls. And that's easy to remember. It's very similar, mphotline@usda.gov. And don't forget now we've become part of the big team of USDA called Ask USDA. So you can always begin there. And that's an automated response online. And that provides also food safety information, many things on USDA, but including food safety, 24/7, of course, online. And there's a live chat, but those are at the same time as the hotline hours, 10 a.m. to 6 Eastern Time. By the way, Ask USDA, you can go to ask.usda.gov. That's technically the homepage. Next slide, please. Okay, here we go. If you want to participate with this little activity, the activity is asking you, our guest today. Thank you for participating if you want to. It's asking, what do you think consumers ask about the most? If you want to type your ideas here in the chat, I will look at them and I'll read them out loud. If you want to say this is an optional one, like some of these you might think are very common or less common, it's not an optional thing. I don't think it matters. Just if you want to type in, what do you think, or even personally, what do you think is a very important food safety question to you, maybe also from your constituents. All right, next slide, please. Okay, here's some examples. These are the kind of inquiries we get at the hotline. And next slide. Okay, here's one. How long can you keep foods like meat, poultry, etc.? Next, please. Number 2. How long can I freeze meat, poultry, and food past the date? Number 3. Why do I need to use a food thermometer? Very common one. Number 4. Why shouldn't I wash, we're in poultry, wash another common one also. And number 5. How do I prepare microwavable frozen entrees? That's kind of a recent one that's been coming up a lot. And is there anything else after that? I believe we only had 5. Oh, there's one more. Why should I not leave food out too long? A very common one. Okay, and anything after it, or next slide, anything else? And then you can put whatever you like. You can use some of these or ask a little bit more in depth if you'd like to. I'm ready for the next slide. Okay, so we don't mind doing your feedback at all. We do get feedback simply from the questions and the emails and the chats we're getting a lot of times, but we'd like to know what people want to know more about. And next slide. And this one gets into it. As a public health agency, we're always interested in knowing how to better promote our food safety messages to the public. You can be part of that mission. Send us your feedback, and here's the email to send the feedback: fsis.outreach@usda.gov. Next slide, please. The 4 steps, you probably heard of them. This is a campaign that goes back quite a few years. Clean, separate, cook, and chill. I'll just go through them quickly. Clean, wash hands and surfaces regularly. Separate raw meat, poultry, even seafood from other foods that are not going to be cooked especially. Cook to a safe internal temperature. That's where the thermometer comes in. That's that little symbol. And chill, refrigerate or freeze food promptly. Put them away within 2 hours is what we usually say. Okay, and next slide, please. All right, and food thermometers, a few examples here. Dial, oven, safe, thermistors, bimetal, very typical, very common ones, especially the dial, the instant read. Those are becoming very common. So we say food thermometer is the only way to ensure meat, poultry, and egg products are fully cooked. It's also used for other foods, of course, not just these categories. There are several different types, and here they are some examples of food thermometers, all of which can help you keep your food safe. Next slide, please. And here's an example, a picture, two images. On the left, it's showing a hamburger. It's safely cooked, actually, but it doesn't look cooked. It's reached 160. That's the internal minimum, but it's showing a pink in the middle. That's what we call persistent pink. It doesn't always go away. Sometimes it doesn't want to. You're just going to end up cooking it and cooking it. It just hangs in there. It's actually safe, but it looks pink. The opposite is true, where it looks cooked and brown. However, it's not safely cooked. Even though it looks brown on the inside, it may be undercooked, and that's been already documented. Lots of experiments over the years. It's a big campaign, again, for us here with FSIS over the years to promote food thermometers. So color is not a good indicator of food safety. Next slide, please. Using a food thermometer, always in the thickest parts of the food. Always, go for the centermost. That's another word we use. Making sure to avoid the bone area, fat or gristle. Wait for the amount of time recommended. Some foods may say wait for 3 minutes, for example. That would be the red meats, steaks, roast, etc. Compare the temperature reading to the recommended safe internal. That's on that little magnet that was on the loop earlier. We can share that again if you want later. Is it done yet? It's called. By the way, one example was hamburgers, 160 degrees minimum. And of course, clean your thermometer with hot soapy water before and after each use. Next slide, please. Example of doing the whole poultry. Of course, with the Thanksgiving holidays coming around, a lot of questions will come up, as I'm sure you know, on turkey preparation and other foods, hams, many other holiday meats. Always try 3 places: innermost part of the thigh, innermost part of the wing, and the thickest part of the breast. Thigh, wing, breast. 165 or higher. And that's for raw poultry, including turkey. Next slide, please. And there's the is it done yet? I forgot we had it here. Those are the temperatures 145 with a 3-minute rest for the cuts of red meat, like a roast. We got a piece there of fish just to add on something 145. According to the FDA, we also say 145. We inspect catfish. I don't know if you've heard. It's the only seafood we do regulate. So that would be 145 for a fillet like that. 160 minimum for burgers, 160 for egg dish, and 165 for anything poultry, whether it's the bird, parts, or ground. Next slide, please. And these are our resources. Next slide. And that would be, well, this is one of them, FoodKeeper app, USDA FoodKeeper app. You can download it on your app store. Just look up the word. It's one word, well, 2 words together, FoodKeeper. You can also browse online. If you actually browse online, like on a Google or a similar search, just put the words USDA FoodKeeper. It comes up as a link. Another place to find it is go to foodsafety.gov and just go under the drop-down menu, keeping food safe. Hundreds of foods in the FoodKeeper. Check it out. Free, of course. If you don't like it, delete it. I had it on my phone just to see how it works, but we're always using it here, regularly. And next slide, please. And foodsafety.gov. Easy to remember. You may have heard of it. A lot of people come from there to our hotline. Your gateway to federal food safety information. That has 3 governmental agencies. Primarily, it's 3 of them. It's FDA, Food and Drug Administration, us, the USDA, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC. Next slide, please. And that's it. I went a little bit, hopefully I didn't go too quickly, but I wanted to leave room for questions. We didn't really know how many people were going to be joining us. So I guess we should try to, because I did ask for some feedback here. Give me one moment while I go back to, give me 1 second here. Let's see how far back I need to go.
Okay, Archie. Hey, how are you?
Sure. Oh, I didn't know you were there, Lynn.
Yep.
Okay.
I can actually read you the questions.
Okay.
Some of the questions that have come about.
Perfect. Thank you.
And for those who may not be able to see in the chats, Archie will go over. I will read the question. Archie will go over the answers. And if you are able to see it in the chat, I have provided the link for you if you're able to cut and paste it in any kind of way in like a Word document so you're able to look at them later, as well as go back to our booth where all the references are there for your availability when time for permits. Okay?
Thank you, Lynn. I didn't know you were there. Thank you for your help.
No worries. So the first question that we came from was Rosie Allen on preparing turkey safely. And she has 2 questions, and that's the first one of the 2.
Okay. Hi, Rosie. Hello, I'm Archie Magoulas again. So you want to know preparing food, you want resources, I presume, or you want to know how to roast it? The summary for, you might know this, but the summary would be checking the turkey when it's finally cooked. Well, let's start from the beginning a little bit. Minimum temperature in the oven is 325, right? There's different timelines depending if it's a 12-pounder, 16, 20, we've had bigger, and stuffing versus non-stuffing. But the bottom line is the temperature. The internal temperature must reach 165 minimum. Check it always in the thickest parts of the legs, of the breast, the thighs, and the wings, right? So 3 places. And then all you do really, I mean, if you got stuffing in it, make sure you stuff it loosely, stuff it fresh. Always use the stuffing just before. Put it in there nice and loose. Don't put it tight, and get it to allow the heat circulation. And you want to get 165 in the thickest part of that stuffing in the cavity. That's a little tricky, so we recommend not stuffing it. But if you stuff it, follow those few steps, it should be fine. Make sure you see 165 in all places. I don't know if I answered it. If you want resources, go to website, fsis.usda.gov, and type the keywords, Let's Talk Turkey. We also have them available in flyer form.
Yep. And the actual hyperlink is the actual PDF. It comes in a fabulous brochure that you're able to, if you order the publication, it does come free of charge, that you're able to hand out if need be. Okay.
Yeah.
The next question, also from Rosie Allen, is how long food can be left out safely? Okay. And as well as if you scroll down, I have provided an active link for that question as well. But then Archie can quickly go over this question with the answer.
Yes, I think it sounds like Rosie. Thank you for both questions, by the way. It sounds like you're giving us what's very, very popular, very common, and they are. Both of them are very common. You may know the answers, but if you want me to go through that one, that's the last step. Chill, clean, separate, cook, and chill. Put foods away within 2 hours, away from the danger zone. You know, the danger zone is technically, we have given it numbers so people have something to go by. It's between 40, just above refrigeration. So just above 40 all the way to 140, right? And then everything in the middle is danger zone. Room temperature, that's danger zone 70, no more than 2 hours. On hot summer days or hot climates, I don't know if you're in Hawaii by chance or southern Florida. If it's hot outside and you're having a barbecue or in the backyard, if it's 90, 1 hour. So 1 hour warm temperatures, 2 hours when it's room temperature.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And then the next popular question that we have is my food safe after the freeze or the freezer stops?
Yeah.
So Archie's going to go over the USDA recommendation for that as well.
Yeah, a lot of people call and they'll say, is this ham safe, or this turkey, is it safe? I had it frozen. And the date says expires or best by or sell by. Those dates are no longer really a safety-related matter, because if you froze that food, whether it's the ham, the turkey, anything, TV dinner, and that's the date that's more relevant to the time that you may have purchased it, especially something fresh like chicken or turkey. So those dates become obsolete, but as long as you keep foods frozen, they just never spoil. It's a matter of quality. So some examples, a raw chicken, 1 year for best quality. If it's parts, about 9 months. These are very, very rough numbers. So at 0, there's no bacterial activity. There's no spoilage. What happens? Why do we say 1 year for best quality? Excuse me. Best quality means best flavor, best color, best texture. So if you use that chicken within a year, or the parts within 9 months, the ground meat within just a couple of months, the ham within the fully cooked ham, 3 to 4 months, that's for best quality. What happens after that year for the bird? Still safe. What about 2 years? You had it frozen, solid, it's still safe. Well, we always remind people, use your memory there. Did you have anything happen in the last, if you had it 3, 4 years? Well, hopefully, power outs, power failures, any power outages or mechanical failures, leaving doors open. If none of those exceptions are happening, that frozen food is safe. Little power failure, couple hours, no problem. But anything major where food's thawed, most people would know. Well, we just remind them, if you had anything like that, it took the power for a day or 2 even, that could have thawed everything. That would not be safe to refreeze.
All right. Thank you, Archie. And I know a lot of you already know some of the answers to those questions. However, we just wanted to remind you guys of what the USDA recommendations are as far as some of the questions that you've posed to us that are more popular that you hear in your area. So at this time, if anybody has any questions for Archie other than what we've already discussed, I think Roy
can let you in, raise your hand. Or Roy, raise your hand first, turn on the camera, let Roy handle this.
Yeah.
If you would like to ask your question verbally, you can click on the raise hand icon at the bottom of the Zoom webinar. At that time, we'll go ahead and promote you to a panelist and allow you to unmute your microphone and turn on your webcam.
Oh, there was another question here. I just saw it. Let's see, answered in the chat. Okay, if nobody, I'll wait a little bit just to make sure. I do see one more. Let me go ahead and answer that one. It says, okay, I recently was asked about leaving butter on the table unrefrigerated. Many seniors do this. Is it safe? Yeah, it's relatively safe. Butter is very stable. It's very fatty. It doesn't spoil easily. It might get rancid though. So you can leave it out. You don't have to worry about the 2 hours so much with butter. However, over time, if it's an excessive exposure, if you keep doing it over and over every day, you leave the butter out, and it might add up to rancid flavor, rancidity. That's what happens with air. Oxygen hits the fat of the butter fat, and then it gets. You wouldn't want to eat rancid butter, so it takes a toll. So we say in general, you can leave it out a little bit, but for the long haul, refrigerate it for butter. And margarine would be similar. Mm-hmm. Peanut butter is another one. Mm-hmm. Okay. How long can you? I'm sorry. Let me see. Oh, how long can you leave it out before it goes rancid? Don't have a number for that, but I would say if you leave it out excessively, I wouldn't leave it out like a whole day or two. I mean, that's asking for the butter to go rancid. I don't have a special number. Another thing you could do, if you're putting it out just to make it softer, just take what you need, leave that part out. Take a chunk of the butter, if it's a cube or a block, whatever. Cut a piece and let that sit out and use as much of it. If you don't use all of it, definitely you can refrigerate for the next day. But you don't want to just keep doing it to the same big block of butter over and over again, because the surface gets a lot of exposure. Again, I don't have a specific time, but generally you can go beyond the 2-hour rule. You can have it all morning or even all, I don't know, a big part of the day, but refrigerate when you're not using the butter for longer stability. Yep, and better use, better quality. It'll taste better too. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you for your question. And I don't know if I missed any. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? I'm still here, and we left a little time, of course, so you can ask as many questions as you like. Lynn is here to take chats as well. I know some of you are extension. A lot of people here are extension agents, and I've met some of you in person. I was on another one several years back. It was in Wisconsin. I believe it was the same organization, NEAFCS. So I don't know if I've mentioned this before. We talked about it during the booth time. If you like the booklets that we have, I'm hoping you saw them at the booth. It says resources and links below it. Some of you know this, of course. If you want to order food safety publications, we have different types. Is it done yet? Magnets. Let's Talk Turkey. That's still available. Power failures. Those kinds of what to do, how to prepare for power failures. What else do we have? The booklet Kitchen Companion is out of stock, but it's being renewed. It's being updated. So we'll have that hopefully in the next year. And another one that's very popular is for older adults, people with diabetes, cancer. It's called it's for at-risk populations. What people need to know for people with at-risk, people with cancer, people who are older, pregnant women, HIV/AIDS. Did I miss one? Lynn, can you think of one? I think that's pretty much it. Anybody can be at risk if they're in ill health, of course, but that's usually there used to be one per book, one category per book. Now they've consolidated them into one booklet, a need to know guide for people at risk.
Yeah, I think you've highlighted them all, Archie.
Yeah, I got all of them. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That coffee kicked in at the end of the day. Okay, thank you. And we have a lot of good, helpful food safety specialists on our hotline. Our official title is Technical Information Specialist. That's really what we are, though we talk about food safety specialist. And feel free. We get all kinds of calls. Some of them can be about meats. Some are about poultry, but some aren't. Some are about the seafood. We can answer basic things. I cooked a fish meal, I cooked salmon, and there's no meat. Can you answer that? Of course. Let's hear it. So I ate some, and usually what ends up is I left it out all night, or I forgot to refrigerate within 2 hours. I went to work. It's been out there. No, that also, whether it's cooked fish, whether it's cooked meat, any perishable food, even some raw, uncooked foods like milk, you can't, if you leave them out, those are perishable foods. Orange juice, perishable if you leave it out. Are they equally perishable? Of course not. But they're perishable, so the 2-hour rule pertains to all perishable foods.
Yes, and I just want to mention, guys, any of the resources that we have provided you or that are on in our booth area, please feel free to share them. It is a public publication that you can use in PowerPoints or giveaways if need be. So it's not just for your use; it's for the public use as well. So, like I said, if you're able to use them, please pass them forward because it is public documentation from FSIS USDA.
Okay, I'm going to share I don't know if can anybody see, let's see if everybody can see this. The outreach inbox. This is when you can send an inquiry requesting publication. So it's FSIS. I think most of you know, but it's the letters for Food Safety Inspection Service. So FSIS.outreach@USDA.gov. And I'm one of the folks that's part of the outreach team. And we'll send you a request form of publications or whatever you need to have. So you can order them. Some of them are limited, like 100 or 200. Excuse me. We have exceptions. If you have a very large event, we might go up a little bit higher. But remember, you can also reorder in the future. And how about the MP hotline? Have we already? Oh, thank you for that, FSIS outreach. And the MP hotline, it's easy. Just put MP hotline. That's our email to ask anything. A lot of questions come from this one. So MP hotline at USDA.gov. I think I spelled it right. Yep. Okay. Some of you may have been calling the hotline years. I know we get some extension people that even know some of the people that go quite a few years ago, 90s. I don't know how far back. I think mid 80s actually. So raise your hand and tell me if you want who you are, or do you remember any of us? A lot of our information was even today. It's getting updated every so often. Was written by these really, really knowledgeable home economists. Many of them were my mentors, my teachers. I've learned a lot from them. Although I came from the food industry world, there was a lot I didn't know about food safety. It's ironic. So some of them are gone, but many of these people were dear to me, and they wrote a lot of these fact sheets. There's still some of them, you see them online, like mail order. By the way, we have a lot of fact sheets. We haven't mentioned that. Unless you see them on the resources, I can't recall if there's a link, but food safety fact sheets you can view by going, one option, FSIS.USDA.gov, and click on food safety on the upper left, and then scroll down and pick and choose what category you want. And if that's not enough, go down to the bottom, and you're looking for publications, click on other resources. That'll bring that up. So some are categorized by meats, some are categorized by poultry, and some miscellaneous like mail order. What do I need to know for mail order? What about shelf-stable foods? We have a fact sheet for that. You've heard of the expression, we got an app for that. Well, we got a fact sheet for that, just about. Maybe not everything, but there's quite a few in there. Another option I didn't mention was option 2, foodsafety.gov, and you'll be surprised what you can find there. That one is shared, by the way. I think we mentioned it, FDA, CDC, and us, the USDA.
All
Go ahead,
right.
Lynn. Mm-hmm.
Yes, thanks,
Yes.
Archie. The foodsafety.gov is an awesome resources. And I see our time has run out.
Uh-oh.
So if anybody has anything else they would like to quickly ask us before you guys go off to other adventures of the seminar, the symposium,
And tomorrow,
please.
don't forget tomorrow, we're still here
Yes, yes,
for
yes, yes. We are here tomorrow
at a booth.
from booth-wise from 12:45
Yes.
p.m. to 1:30 p.m. That's tomorrow on November 5th, okay?
Yeah.
So I hope to see you guys back again if you have any additional
Stop
questions.
over. If anything comes up that we didn't cover and something pops up in your mind between now and tomorrow, just bring it with you and we'll talk about it.
Okay, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Stay safe out there.
Thank you for visiting us. Thank you.